Good to go.
So I do that again then. All right, call the Grafton County Executive Committee to order, and I would ask that Representative Spar, maybe you could lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this morning.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have some minutes to approve from the Executive Committee meeting of November 17th, 2025. Anybody have any corrections?
I do, and I just want to say before we start, can roll call start with my side, me first before Representative Beljack and Hans.
I don't
Just so
see-
they know how, if we take a vote, they know how I'm voting.
Okay,
All right?
sure. If we, there's no reason why we can't do that. Just
Yes, like we do in committees.
you follow what he's asking.
But we don't need to do roll call
Yeah.
votes because everybody's present in the room, so
No.
Just for order.
I'm just saying, if we do that, we don't need to do it
We-
today,
yeah.
other than for non-public.
I'm just saying if there is one.
Okay,
So I'll just go from bottom to top instead of.
if we have to, but we're not gonna have any roll call because there's
Right.
nobody,
So
no one participating online. That's a voting member at this point.
we have a couple corrections.
Certainly.
Someplace in there, I'm looking for, it says 14 weeks, but then it's written 16 or vice versa. I'm just trying to find out exactly. I think it's on page 4. Okay. All right, there's just two. We have another area where we're looking for this. Representative Opal, his name is spelled incorrect. And so if you do a search on OPPE, I think it ended in D. It was the other one. Good find, yeah. All right. There it is, yeah. For Opal, it's on page 9, new business. I wanted, but. We just checked, see one other place here. Oh, here it is. I'm sorry, it's on actually page 13. First paragraph, the second line from the bottom says rep opened. OPPEN.
Page 13.
Page, yeah, second line. The other one is on page 4. Second bullet to the bottom. It says, says 14 months, but, just before it says next 60. Got that?
What's?
So it's written 16, but it has the number 14.
It's supposed to be 4.
And the one above that is at 8 and 6.
There you go, yeah, there too.
I'm famous for that. I knew exactly where to look. I update those and then I change one and not the other.
Those
Any
are the
others?
two that I have seen.
All right, so anyone else? If someone wants to make a motion to approve the minutes as corrected,
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
I'll second.
as corrected.
That's correct.
Okay, seconded. Representative
Jello.
Berticelli. All those in favor?
I,
Okay, unanimous amongst those present voting. Thank you. We have treasurer's report.
Good morning, everyone. Does everyone have the treasurer's report?
Thank you.
As you can see, we have some money left over from our investments. When was the meeting canceled, George?
Bad weather.
When was this?
January.
Okay, so we haven't met since, we did pay off the hands note, which was roughly 7.5 million. And then we invested the rest of the money either into the investments that you see or into our checking account. Since then, we have obviously drawn down monies, and currently we have, if you look at the whole list, 12,460,000. That will track us hopefully to achieve our budget of 275,300 for interest earned, which is the bottom line under recent transactions of note. So obviously it'll depend on the runoff that we have to pay throughout that course of time, but we're fairly confident that we will come in hopefully on or near budget. So I don't know if anyone has any questions with specific accounts or.
Any questions for the treasurer? Yeah, Representative Stringham.
Yeah, thanks for the report. Given the amount of cash that we have in here, when will we be needing to go to a line of credit? Estimation.
Well, we hope not to prior to the start of the end of this budget process. Last year, we started drawing on our line of credit in September. And, you know, a lot of it depends on how the monies come in. But our hope and our goal, I mean, hope is a big word, that we certainly wouldn't need to draw much before September. If it does land in September, that would be ideal. You know, last year you did authorize us to borrow up to 12 million, and we took out 7.5 million. So that's the easiest way I can't give you assurance, Jerry, but our hope is to stay on track about where we ended up last year.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Representative Sullivan.
Thank you. I just have a question about the interest rates. Are we, I know they've been changing a lot, and I'm not sure, are these the latest and best we can get from the banks? That's all.
These are the ones that we put out the bid in December. And these are the ones that came back with.
Okay.
I think if you have a CD in a bank and you see it coming due, and then you renew it, you're seeing it tracking downward. So who knows where it'll be next December, but this is what we have right now through the bid process that we put out in December.
Interest rates are going down. Anyone else? Someone care to make a motion? Representative Frank,
Make a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
is there a second? Representative Berticelli seconds the motion. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I think it was unanimous of those votes. Thank you. Mr. Treasurer. Commissioners, good morning.
Good morning. All right, you should have a copy of this, so we'll try to do the highlights. Start with the nursing home. The census is currently 125. We budgeted for 124. Although our payer mix is a little different, we're maintaining our revenue. Probably of note, our Medicaid rate decreased by $2.91 a day in January. But we had used a rate of 247.78 a day, so our new rate 250.10, which is higher than the budget rate. So in other words, we should continue to see positive revenue variance for the nursing home as long as our census stays on track. Department of Corrections, did you have a question on that? Department of Corrections, we have 93 in-house with 36 out. Census is 93 with 36 out. We budgeted for 90. So we are seeing some issues here at the DOC. We've had that significant increase was due to bail reform and other changes to the criminal justice system. But we're also seeing a real big change to medical needs of our inmates, and many of them are coming in with significant medical needs. Many of those are related to substance use and age. So we did approve funding from the LATCF fund to bring in 2 full-time LPNs, at least temporarily, to help us with that. And we do think this is going to have an impact on our budget as we go forward. We don't see the trend moving down on that need. Broadband, with any questions? Feel free to let me know if you have something as we go along. Broadband update, a lot of information here, but construction began in May, which was coming up on almost a year. A lot of utility poles and a lot of that work getting the licensing to go through. So it's a pretty slow process. And we're just trying to expedite any of that we can make that happen faster. I think of note, we're in communication with New Hampshire Electric Cooperative, who's still working on some of their issues and early in discussion, but we think there's some work we can do, collaborative work we can do with them together. Courthouse update. This is probably of interest. We did take a lot of that information that we got during our public meetings from all of you, and we went back to La Valley Bressinger and they began doing some redesign work on that building. So probably the most significant is moving the courts to the first floor and some space reductions there. So they'll be doing a new cost estimate once those plans are finalized, and we'll have probably at the next meeting have more information on that. And we did also look into whether we could get some congressional designated funding for that. And so it does seem to be an option for us, a future, not this current one that's people just submitted for, but in the future. So we'll continue to look at that. American Rescue Plan, the ARPA funds. As you know, we had 17.4 million. We had 92 projects that you all, as well as us, approved, and most have been completed. So all of our funds have been obligated. We have 4 open projects at this time. That'll be paid out over the next 9 months. EMS study, this was really interesting for all of us because we've been hearing from our EMS organizations in the county. We've had a number of towns that have lost their coverage for service. We did ask Municipal Resources, and Dawn Bliss headed up that project. They did a really nice study for us. It's available on the front page of our website if you want to look at that. And so there were a number of things that they mentioned to us. We also, that sort of led us into the next step where we looked at the rural health transformation, that over $200 million coming in. And we did submit a project to that initially and have continued to pay attention to that. We have asked Councillor Hill to bring in Donna Lee Lozo and any of those 4 contracted agencies to come talk to us about what the needs are, specifically around the EMS project and helping out those agencies that want to do regionalization. I mean, we're hearing from our fire organizations as well that you know, in some of our towns that the increased cost in equipment, the volunteers and paid staff, the workforce, all of those things are an issue with both in fire service. So that, you know, there could be some relief or help there, we're hoping. And then our budget, yeah,
Any question?
oh, go ahead, please, Representative.
Go ahead, Representative.
Thank you. So on the EMS, in the grant money, or that's what we're looking at?
Yeah.
Is this an ongoing grant that will be year after year, or is it a grant that's a one-time grant?
So in the project that we put it in as a startup funds. That was the project that we outlined for them, that we would do in 5 different areas that would help for the regionalization piece of it. For example, getting the communities to work together, a startup on equipment or building renovations. So we looked at $1 million per organization over 5 years, so we would do 4 or 5 different projects. So that was our original intent. It's really starting all over again with the funding proposals. And so EMS is included in their in what they want to have done, but we're going to have to put in another proposal that perhaps would be more updated. So the towns that we did work with, and Commissioner Hedberg could talk more about the Plymouth area. The sustainability of those would be through input from each of the communities committing to those. You know, in other words, what they're doing now with their EMS funding perhaps would go towards this sustaining more of a regional approach. So those are the thoughts, but
So the grant is a one-time grant,
it is 5 years.
a 5-year grant.
It's a 5-year, yes. Yeah. So we could ask for, you know, something every year for 5 years, or we do it the way
So,
we like.
If I may. I'm just concerned about I totally agree using a grant for like a one-time expense type thing. But getting into saying, hey, we're gonna hire 15 people because of X, Y, and Z. And then, you know, 5 years later, now it's back on all the towns again, or the district at that point to pick up whatever that grant money was. That's my only concern. You're looking at that, right? So the towns don't get hit down the road.
That's our concern too. We want to be able to help them get the project regionalization.
Yeah.
The model we used was, if those are familiar with the latitude, 45th latitude project in the Colbert, Pittsburgh area. We looked at it in that way, and that the hospital up there helped them get started, and then the towns took over those services. So
Thank you.
Representative Spar, I saw your hand next.
Just a question, what was the reason for soliciting the Councilor Leah Hills?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
What was the purpose of soliciting Councilor Leah Hill? Was she new or add to this?
About why did we ask about Counselor Hill?
Oh, I'm sorry, Hill. I thought you meant Hill, like the town. I think we felt she's been very helpful to us in getting the first project into the proposal that the state did. So we just followed up with her, and because she's on the executive council, they've had to approve all of those
Right.
contracts. And we just thought she has the most leverage to get some interest in what we want to do early on in the process. That was the thought.
You have a follow-up?
Yeah, thank you. I just, you're familiar with the superintendent's background?
So Sue helped us too. We reached out to our executive counselor Hill and Senator Prentice to get our attention in DHHS to get the project included in the first place.
I have Representative Stringham next.
One of the challenges of Go North, which is a federal government program that was created as part of the Big Beautiful Bill. So there's some pretty significant cuts in Medicaid, both eligibility and potential payment. And in order to get the bill through and satisfy certain senators, they created this fund, which in the state of New Hampshire will call it Go North, to rural healthcare transformation. But there are big challenges because of Medicaid cuts for some of the health clinics and the federally qualified health centers having sufficient operational money, especially as the number of uninsured go up and they're required to provide care regardless of ability to pay. And, so all these programs hopefully will do things that maybe could make them more efficient, but, they're not gonna be able to apply to salaries. And that's why the, health clinic in Franconia closed already, because there really isn't potential to offset the money that they're gonna be losing after being open for 25 or so years up there. And, Mid-State and other ones are taking a hard look at what we be able to afford. And this, the same kind of practice is true with EMS services. So, there's a significant amount of money for investment, but it's for one-time kind of infrastructure projects. And it will run out in 5 years. But right in the state of New Hampshire, it's $200 million for this year. So, and I think everybody's on the same page as what you're talking about, which is understanding that this isn't for operational costs. In fact, the program more or less prohibits it.
Representative.
Bolton.
I was getting there,
So I know, Plymouth, we're covering Rumney, we're going Warren and Wentworth, and it just seems like it's great to be able to be a regional hub. But I'm just thinking like someone in Warren that needs, EMS to come to their house. It's just gonna add, turnaround time. I mean, they can be pretty much, sent to Warren. It might take them 15 minutes. And they could probably, treat the person on site, but then if it requires coming back to the hospital or something, just seem, I know we're spoiled in Plymouth with the hospital and EMS, but, it just seems like well, I'm sure there's a limit to how far you can go out of town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's interesting you should mention that. If you look at that, on their website, if you go to where that EMS report is, there is a database that they had created where you can actually look at those run times and see what they are. That should help them with their interest in regionalizing services, that they can actually look and see which of those and which areas of a certain town they can reach in a certain amount of time. So that was part of that, was to help them maybe figure some of that out. It's really interesting. There's a lot already doing regional services, every Lisbon is going, to Lyman or whatever. Woodsville, I think, does Vermont as well as some other areas. We've got Lincoln and Woodstock that do, Littleton obviously is picked up much of the ones that lost in my area. So, I mean, there is that, a Grafton, what was this in the paper recently, right? Grafton and Canaan. I think it was Grafton that lost and Canaan. And yeah, so there's obviously, and then some of the bigger cities like Lebanon do that. So this is really to help. It's interesting how it's changed in my career anyways, when I worked in rural health. Nobody was interested as much as I tried to help them with that regionalization, but they weren't interested in that, 15 years ago, or whatever. Now I have for example, budget committee in Littleton is saying, is there anything you can do to help us with our fire service? When it costs $2 million for a ladder truck.
Want a contract with Plymouth? Well, might take a
It
50
might
minutes to
take
get
a
up there,
while,
but-
yes, but is there any way to
Well,
help with some of that? It's really challenging.
And
Small
there's
towns.
another new wrinkle that now is appearing in terms of EMS services being provided. That is that the availability of even the existing resources of ambulances that towns and cities have is being diminished because they're arriving at the hospitals and there's no place to put the patient.
That's right.
So they sit there with the patient on the cot waiting to get into the emergency department to find a bed. And it's significantly impacting availabilities for the next run for many, many communities. So, I mean, this is a really serious problem at so many different levels.
If I may, to tandem on that, the other issue is that there are not the transport ambulances to take them from a small hospital to a major center. So one of the issues that have been brought to our attention is that ambulances, whether it be Lincoln and Woodstock or Plymouth or wherever, if it is something like a heart attack or a stroke or some major event that a small hospital would usually stabilize and then send them on. They are taking them directly to the major centers because there are not the transport people to get them from a small hospital to a big. So that just, again, adds the time, a run that should be, you know, out and back and get to the hospital is much farther to get to somewhere.
Yeah, it's unfortunately a hornet's nest of interlocking difficulties that, you know, that it's nice to see that somebody's. I'm gonna read this report with a great deal of interest because,
Yeah.
I think it's important for us to be going back to our communities to say, this is what's going on, and this is the big picture, and how are we gonna deal with these, you know, what are some of the ways we can deal with this? Okay, thank you.
So I have one more item and it's a budget. I started that. We've started on our budgets with departments, gonna work through April. And then hopefully be completed by May 1. We are seeing, just for your information, seeing significant increases caused by inflation and world events, you know, fuel, utilities, things like that. We also have received a 26% rate increase for our health insurance costs, and that's our low cost option that most of our employees are on. So, you know, we're certainly looking at options to mitigate these increases, but I just think it's important for you to know that. I know you all will start meetings June.
June 1st.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Representative Zeller.
So how can the insurance companies justify a 26% increase? I mean, how do they justify it to the commissioners? I'd like to know how that works.
I'd like to know, we've not heard directly from them. I don't know, Julie, if you,
I mean, the commissioners haven't heard directly from them, but in part, it's our own claims experience. We have some very high cost claimants who are on our insurance, and your claims ratio is not good, then neither are your rates.
And are we covering just those people working, or are we covering those people that are retired, or are they on Medicare when they retire at 65?
we moved to a Medicare Advantage plan for those, for the retirees.
So retirees are all getting on Medicare and off our insurance.
At
when they
least the
retire.
ones that are over 65 are on that.
Right, anybody over 65, and a retiree over 65 is on our Medicare Advantage plan. Any retirees under the age of 65 are on our current plans that the rest of our employees are covered by.
So even though they're not currently working, they're still on the plan. So if they retire at 50 or 55, they're gonna be on there for the next 10, 15 years. Is that correct?
What are there certain requirements though for people retiring to qualify for that? I mean, we have a lot of law enforcement, obviously, that would be more in that area, but
You have to, yes, you have to, have be the age 60 and worked 30 years for the county, or age 62 and worked 20 years for the county before you qualify for retiree health coverage.
Last question I have is, are we looking at the co-share as far as that may be going up as well for the employees? I mean, 26% is, I mean, if you have $1 million policy, I mean, that's 250,000 right there.
we have solicited bids from other commercial. This is through Health Trust, but we have solicited bids from others. This plan already does have a high deductible plan, and in order to get folks to move to that plan, which was less expensive for us last year, we did offer to pay some of that deductible for them because it would still be less expensive for us to have, and majority of employees did move to that less expensive plan. So we were able to save on that. So we're still early in those conversations around that, but that's one area of concern.
We're looking at every option we everything is on the table right now being reviewed.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking our citizens out there, there are many out there that, the husband or the wife retires, now they're at the age of retirement, but maybe the other one is, 5 years younger, and, they're picking up that health insurance for them at full cost and stuff, so. I just want to make sure what we're doing for the county is similar to what's going on in real life. So, that's all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Stringham.
Two things. One is, in the grain of the county population. What health expenditures are we responsible for? People that are there, they have a hospital admit, are we paying for the full, hospitalization? Or are we just talking about kind of the nursing care that's in there? And do these people have independent insurance, or are they covered from any other government program?
So we pay for much of that, but unless they're in the hospital for an extended period of time. And then I think they qualify at that point for Medicaid because they're no longer in.
No,
No.
that's not true, unless
Okay.
they're released from custody.
Custody,
As
okay.
long as they remain in custody, they have no federal
Health insurance.
benefits. They have no social security or Medicare or Medicaid. Those benefits are cut off when they are incarcerated.
There was a bill federal bill that, that was going to look at having Medicaid for inmates. Don't know what happened to that. If that's just been set aside, but that would have been a significant positive impact for us if that had gotten through. But we also have, when they're in there, we also have to have one of our jail employees there with them as well. So that's an additional cost. So that, because of that, that's been causing problems as well with us, with our staffing levels, because we've had to have somebody there at the hospital guarding them. So that's an additional cost, but it's pretty significant. We've met with the nursing staff at the jail a couple times now and heard from them. And also about the level of substance use that is causing the problems when the people are coming into the jail. So high. So the more we can do about that would help, certainly.
Follow up?
So as part of your thinking and the adding the full-time LPNs, which I take it wasn't part of the original budget, is to help manage the needs without having to send them to an expensive outside facility, or is it the care they need, or a little of both?
It's some of both, I would say, yeah.
We didn't have 24-hour-a-day coverage at the facility. Those two positions have provided 24-hour-a-day coverage, which was something they were lacking in needing and being able to triage and take care of some of these people.
And so needing perhaps to go in for kidney failure, those are very expensive, have to be transported, 3-4 days a week or something, some of that. And others who need to have, we haven't provided nursing care to that level before, but as Julie said, the 24 hours is stretching the staff that we have that are not working those hours, so.
So,
Representative Stringham.
and so where is the nearest dialysis facility?
That must be like, I think that's like, yeah.
I just,
So- I have one other topic, but if somebody else wants to go first. that's fine.
Representative Sellers. I did see his hand first.
and I just want to make sure, especially for people online, we're saying as soon as we take someone into the jail, they lose their Medicaid, and we have to pay the full boat.
100%.
Yeah.
What a country.
Yeah.
Yes, I just wanted to add something as being on the officers board of the New Hampshire Association of Counties for years. This is something that we have lobbied the federal government for many, many, many times. And the bill that you're referencing, Inmate Exclusion Act or something, I forget what it was. I did know. It comes up, we get our hopes up, and then it's always defeated. So this is downshifting this is what this is. And so we cover the whole. And just to add one other thing too, for Representative Stringham, the sort of the predicament that we've gone through, if you talk with the nurses over there, you see I mean, first of all, they're extremely dedicated, but they're seeing things that they've never seen before, levels of acuity. And I think it's exhausting for them and frustrating because they want to offer such good care. And so they felt that the superintendent felt that it was really vital. Their licenses are on the line. If they're not feeling that they're providing good care. So he asked for the additional staffing.
And if I may add to that, when they were asking for the positions, they described it as when they started, it was working like in an outpatient clinic. And then it was working in an urgent care. And now it's a high level emergency room, as well as having people with needs like wound care that they need every shift or whatnot, that they didn't have to give the care in the units. And there are people who have disabilities, so they need help with their activities of daily living, which is added to each one of these things adds to another.
All right, so Representative Stringer, you had a new topic that you wanted to
I
bring up.
do, so on the courthouse, we were largely, given presentations on, do we do a total replacement versus do we do a renovation? And, there's some discussion about trying to delay, either one of those, so just basically continuing as is with repairs and mandates and so on. So the question I had, when I went to the public sessions, what I heard was there was a possibility of kind of a catastrophic failure of some type, whether it's an elevator or something you absolutely had to use, and we would have to, on an emergency basis, move some of the functions of the courthouse to something else. So I just wonder, when we go through the budget process, is it possible to have an idea of what that might look like if that happens? So, so that's kind of my, we might see some things when we go through the budget cycle.
Thank you. I don't know, Commissioner, if you want to.
I think the hard thing is, it's hard to predict if something's catastrophic, so we can't predict what that is. We did, and I'm on the building committee, which is why she asked me to speak to this. We are looking, the reports from both engineering companies that had looked at it over the years, after looking at the building, reported that it would likely be more expensive and with poor results if we tried to renovate it. So Mr. Oakes, we just got his budget late on Friday, so we're discussing, there are a few capital things, but the problem will be the domino effect of if something happens, because there's so much asbestos in the building and whatnot, that if it stays there, we don't have to do anything. But if you have to go in an area, they could do a small area. So it's really the domino effect. And I've looked at the budget, and again, there's a couple of capital things, but I don't think we have any way of predicting whether it would be a $5 million or a $15 million repair. It depends on this.
Okay. Entertain any motion for the commissioner's report? Anyone?
I'll make the motion to
Representative.
accept the commissioner's report as is.
Representative makes the motion to accept, as seconded by Representative Delarick. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Moving along. County Administrator's report.
Good morning, everyone. On the county administrator's report, You have all of the reports that were sent to you. I have the tax management report, which shows you, in different format, all the same information on the treasurer's report, and where all of our accounts are invested. The monthly variance report, we are completed 8 months of our fiscal year. Starting with revenue, if you look at the, nursing home, we are still showing a favorable variance, not by much, I would say, I think it's only $4,000. But as noted in the commission's report, January and February were, rough on the census months, for us. You can see on the chart above you that the year-to-date totals for the month of February, 117. A bit below what we budgeted. So the fact that we've survived that and are still in a favorable variance and are back at 125 residents is all very good news for us. The pro share bed tax, we, as you all know by now, received pro share in one lump sum payment in June. We do not have any reports at this point in time what that pro share payment is going to look like for fiscal year 2026. These numbers do include 2 quarters of our bed tax. And that is trending slightly below budget at this point in time. Department of Correction is showing a favorable variance. I think they're actually already fully over collected on their general revenue for that. So we will see the jail finish the year over their revenue projections. The farm continues to show a positive revenue variance. They have fully collected and over collected some of their revenue sources as well, sales livestock and miscellaneous revenues. The tough thing with the farm at this point is the price of milk. I think our last milk had a price of milk in $16.50 per hundredweight grain. Our budget is for $21 per hundredweight. And the projections are that the price of milk is going to continue to decline. Makes me our projections for milk that we continue to monitor that. The Sheriff's Department is showing a very favorable variance. County Attorney's Office, we have 3 different segments of revenue for that. We have the VAL grant, which is a annual grant that runs January to December, so you see $0 in that collected. We'll fully collect that grant between January and July. So that will be fully collected, I anticipate, by the end of the year. The VOCA grant, we bill out quarterly, so we have no revenue to show for January, February. The circuit court is 1 month behind in collections, and I actually saw that come in this morning on a bank statement. So alternative sentencing is showing a negative variance, and that's just really due to the timing of our, as you've heard me reference, we have a grant from the Bureau of Drug and Alcohol Services, and we have not recorded our February revenue from those for both the jail and the alternative sentencing. So with that, we would be on target with that. The Register of Deeds is showing a positive $103,000 variance. Point in time. On the interest, we are still showing a negative variance. But if you refer back to your reports from November, that was a very much significantly higher negative variance for at 4,500 at this point. Rent, we're still showing positive variance. We fully collected our taxes. The other category contains one-time revenues that we receive again in property and federal payment of road taxes. So those payments don't come in till June, so that will continue to show skew throughout the rest of the fiscal year. Overall, our revenues are on target for the fiscal year. And I'll stop there and get happy to answer any questions anybody has in regards to revenues.
Representative Sellers.
Just to make sure I'm clear on that pro share, we have a guesstimate about how much we'll be getting, is that correct?
We do not have any guesstimates at this point in time, and we, have an amount that's in the budget, that's based on past years. But we don't have any guesstimates at this point in time on what this year's payment will look like.
So if I may, so the amount we put in the budget, is it usually coming close? I haven't looked back at previous budgets.
So historically, prior to the last 2 fiscal years, the amount had come in over what we had budgeted. The past 2 fiscal years have come in, once significantly under revenue and the other last year was still quite a bit under our normal, what our pro share payments have been. We had a period of time where, so pro share looks back 2 years. So the 2-year look back is now finished in the year that we had the issue. So we're anticipating that this year will look more similar to not the big payments that we were receiving, but to what we anticipated in the budget this year.
Thank you.
Convoluted answer to say, yes, we're anticipating what we budgeted. But we don't know that at this, we don't know for sure at this point.
Anyone else?
One other question.
Yep.
As far as when you say the revenue is, of, what's the word you're using here? Above or below, I think, right?
Yeah.
Favorable and unfavorable. Is that saying that, is that just the revenue that we're expecting? Hey, we did a forecast, we're saying we're gonna get this, or is that saying like the farm is like in the black at that point? You know, it's operating in the black versus,
This is just revenue.
okay,
And this is taking what was budgeted, dividing it by 12 and multiplying it by 8
thank you,
and comparing it to our actuals.
thank you.
Okay, shall we move on to expenses?
Sure, on the expense side, through our first through the 8 months of the fiscal year, we do have quite a few departments that show unfavorable or negative variances. The large majority of that is because we had 3 payrolls in January, and because this is the budget divided by 12 times 8, the 3 payrolls provides, it really skews that for a couple of months, especially in our smaller departments. Of note, the bonded debt probably shows the largest negative variance, and as you all know, we've paid all of our bonded debt payments for the year, so that will not be over expended. It will level out as we move through the fiscal year. And then as previously discussed, Department of Corrections, we are monitoring very closely. We are 93% expended in our medical line as of 8 months. We are likely at this point overexpended in the medical line. I just signed off on a pile of invoices this morning, for just one event that happened at the jail a couple of weeks ago. So we are monitoring that as well as the salary line item. We may end up overextended in the jail at the end of the fiscal year. We don't know that at this point. We'll make some much more targeted projections. And if we need to, in May, we'll come to you with a request to transfer money into that budget. There is money within the budget to transfer into the jail if we do need to do that. But we'll keep monitoring that after this time. And I'd be happy to answer any specific questions about expenditures.
Anyone? Representative Sparrow.
Why the significant difference in the human services expense?
Human service expense is an estimate that we do annually. We don't get the actual county cap until August, after the budget's approved, and while we know what the cap is gonna be, we don't know what Grafton County's percentage is going to be. We base it on an average of what the percentage has been previously. This year, that percentage went down in Grafton County, leaving a positive variance that will be left in that budget at the end of the day.
One else? Okay,
I have one other question.
yes, of
The
course.
nursing admin, home admin. Why that's. Parents, Positive variance, yeah.
I don't know that without taking a closer look at it. My guess is the bed tax, the bed tax payment is less than what we budgeted for, but I'd have to look at the more detailed reports to, but I'll look at that and get back to you.
Okay, moving on.
So you also have a prorated report, that report, prorates out, our revenues and expenditures showing based on the February reports. So we're 66.67% completed in the fiscal year of our revenue at 67.04%. Basically on target for revenue, and our expenditures at 66.24, under expended by 200, it's about 250,000. You also have an over expenditure report. There are several accounts on that report. At this point in time, most are minimal, and there are funds within department budgets to cover the overages. The only one, the one that is not at this point in time that, has been identified is the tax anticipation, please, tax anticipation interest line item. Coming around as a request per the Dunedin bylaws to transfer in excess of $5,000 into the tax anticipation interest line item.
Question as far as that, the wage and benefits, I'm not sure if you said anything about that. Is there a reason why that's over?
The FSA.
Yep, there sure is. So that line item is, as Commissioner McLeod had referenced earlier last year when the budget was approved. He was set up to contribute $500 to every employee who has the site of service insurance plan, which is our lower cost insurance plan. And I underestimated the amount of employees that were going to be receiving that allotment.
Okay, thank you.
So on the tax anticipation interest line item, it's overexpended by $11,437.32. We borrowed $7,250,000 from Bar Harbor Bank at an interest rate of 4.65%. The total interest we budgeted was $50,000. The total interest expense accrued from our borrowing was $61,437.32. Creating the overage. We requested transfer funds from the Human Services Long-Term Care line item, 01419560. And we're gonna transfer the $11,438, and that line will have ample funds remaining in it at the end of the year.
Representative Strain.
So you need a motion to support this? With your permission, I'd like to make a motion to
Certainly.
accept the transfer as laid out in memo sent to the executive committee.
Seconded by Representative Sellers. I saw his hand first. Okay, any discussion about this? Seeing none, we'll take the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you, and that concludes my report.
Can I make a motion to accept the county administrator's report?
Please do so.
I make that motion to accept the county administrator's report.
And is there a second? Representative Bajalabrek seconds to accept the county administrator's report. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Again, seems unanimous with those who are present. Okay. All right, so we have a little bit of business to attend. Um,
Usually sit where she is and that's where the partner is. So when you get back to this, with the people.
We are all business.
well, we don't have any that I'm aware of.
I didn't know, because it's more.
Well, we can if you want.
Yeah, I would. Just for a minute, sorry.
Yeah.
I say it.
Yeah. So, all right, so under old business, Representative Sellers would like to bring up a comment. So,
I would, this is about the courthouse, as I was reading through the minutes. We all had a lot of input on that. And things, there were a couple of things that came up and stuck out to me that. One, we were going to meet, or try to meet a little more often to try to do some brainstorming, I guess. And that never happened, and then we had the snow in January, so we didn't meet it then as well. And I don't know if we're planning to meet between now and the end of June at all to discuss the courthouse further. And the second part of that is I would like to see, I'm not sure what's gonna happen with the courthouse, if we're gonna go building or not, but I personally looked at the Danson report again. And the one thing I did see in there that was not disturbing, but it was just, I didn't realize it in the beginning, or maybe I did and it didn't make, I didn't put two together. But in the repair part of the Danson report, it had a 33,000 square foot addition. All right, that was in the repair section. So, and I get it, we're gonna do the repairs and add 33,000 square feet. But truly what I'm getting at is the repairs might only be around, $16-20 million someplace in there that they've identified. And we're blowing it out of proportion to think that it's, if we just go with the repairs, it's up around 46-48 million. Never mind the interest or lease or whatever we do there. So my concern is, I'm thinking we can fix a lot of stuff and, yes, it's gonna be painful a little bit here and there. But I think we should, stop putting money aside, start budgeting, $1 million, maybe $2 million. And start tackling some of these issues and not go and put the citizens of Grafton County, in debt for whatever it might be, 10-20 years on a new building. Everybody, as we all know, is between town taxes, city taxes, and school district taxes. The property taxes, which are never decreasing. We're just gonna add to the pile by causing an increase the taxes for our residents. And I'd like to see, on this 55-year-old building, let's get another 55 years out of it, and let's start doing some repairs and at least move forward. That's why I wanted to bring up the courthouse, and that's my take on what I was reading through the minutes and my addition to it.
Anyone else? Representative, right?
Is the building being maintained now, or are we just sitting around waiting for something to happen? Has Mr. Oakes been proactive about some of the repairs that need to be done? And I just don't know what the situation is. I mean, if it's in such dire, according to people's situation, that the building is just gonna fail, can't we anticipate some of these needs ahead of time?
Mr. Oaks and his team do an amazing job of maintaining, which is why it's running as it is. What the concern is that the mechanicals are original and you can't get in to replace them without extensive other work. So, because of the asbestos and whatnot. And the other issue is them being that old. It sometimes takes quite some time to, find parts to replace things. They've done an amazing job. And I do want to just make sure everyone knows that our maintenance department, which is led by Mr. Oakes, does an amazing job of maintaining all of our buildings. And I would direct you to his monthly, reports to the commissioners where he outlines everything they do. It is absolutely being maintained. The issue is there's an expected lifespan, that most of these things are beyond, and the reason they're able to stay beyond is because of the need. Does that answer your question?
Somewhat, I just think that maybe like one particular area, even though some of the equipment is obsolete, should be looked at. Just because you can't get a part doesn't mean that it can't.
Oh,
be-
they're all being, I don't mean to interrupt, they're all being looked at. The issue is to do a complete replacement of something, say the HVAC, which is very old, that's all asbestos and you can't, and it goes through the whole building. So to get in there, all of that asbestos would need to be abated. So nothing is being sat and just watched. I mean, they're trying to, not trying, they are very good at keeping up with the routine maintenance. And again, I would direct you to look at those monthly reports because he does look at all of those things. The issue, as I mentioned before, is the domino effect because to get to some of these things, it requires many other things, which would likely lead to closure of part of the building because of the abatement process.
And I would just add the energy use of the building. For much of that building that's not well insulated and the costs are quite high and they're gonna see higher costs obviously going forward. We've already gotten some bids in for the energy costs and it says you might expect, like you've seen at the gas pumps. So those operational costs will continue to go up on the sold building. So that's part of the savings. I think the Danson report goes through very clearly outlining all of those things that Commissioner Hedberg is talking about. You know, it's not like we're sitting here and letting it fall apart. It's being maintained as it can be, but costing us all a lot of money to do that. One way or the other.
Anyone else?
Just want to, if you don't, mind, thank you.
Yeah.
As far as what Representative Franz was saying is, we're not looking at asbestos and stuff like that. I think what she was asking is just general maintenance, tires, lights, a circuit breaker goes bad, little things like that. I was just trying to go through the budget and see what we actually budgeted for the courthouse. And I haven't found it just yet, but and we were just wondering how much money has been put aside on a yearly basis for that. That's all.
Then I would say it's not that we put it aside, it's part of our budget.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, I have myself.
Okay.
Someone else.
Mm. And duly noted. Okay. So, moving on to new business. It's my intention to have a non-public session per RSA 91A3. A:3, 2. I think that probably means paragraph 1. It's an I.
It's an L.
It's an L. I can't tell. I can't tell even with glasses. New ones too, for that matter. Which is, so we will do so. That means that if you are not part of the executive committee, you must exit the room for the moment. Yes. You want to take a break? Sure. Finish with the other stuff. Ready to go? So I need someone to make a motion relative to part A of new business. And the second, and then we'll need a roll call on that. Representative Stringer,
Make a motion to.
where was your hand?
Make a non-public session for RSA one A 3 to
L.
1
L.
So,
L.
is there a second? Representative Jellibrick seconds it, and I'll have the clerk call the roll, please. If you still want it to be back up, that's okay, go ahead. Just do it.
Not back.
No,
Just go ahead.
go ahead.
Baldwin, yes. Jellibrick,
Yes.
Bolton,
Yes.
Franz,
Yes.
Sellers,
Yes.
Barr,
Yes.
and Stringham,
Yes.
Sykes,
Yes,
8 in favor, no opposed.
okay. Okay. So we, as you can tell from the agenda, we had a non-public sessions.
Anything else online, or they're able to get in now, right?
They no one logged back on, so.
But they can at any time. Sorry, our only requirement is to have a quorum. We can continue whether they do or not.
Yep.
Just is there anyone on the executive committee who would like to have a brief discussion about concerning this request for the non-public session?
I'd just like to say from what we learned there is, our purview again is money. Not policy or that area of counties run or even background of procedures that way. So that's one of the things we learned. So again, moving forward, we're gonna find out if we need to do a non-public going forward.
All right, so anyone else? Representative Stringham.
I'd say the other thing I learned is just under what circumstances, we can enter non-public. The responsibility to be open to the public is very high. So, there has to be very specific reasons or threats to the public by going into a private session. So, that's what we discussed and what may cross that threshold. But that our effort should be to maintain maximum transparency. Sure.
Right, and there was a secondary piece to the discussion, which I would also point out that, non-public session by the executive committee is very, very limited because we don't do operational questions. We don't do, we monitor the expenditures of money that have been approved by the delegation. And so there's a very limited circumstance under which, in fact, I can't think of any circumstance under which we would be going into executive session based on the current RSAs. That speaks for the executive committee only now. That commissioners, of course, certainly have all of those authorities and could choose to go into non-public session. Okay, so that's where we're at. The next piece of business, C, is a discussed process for setting elected officials' salaries. So we have some meeting, we are going to have a full delegation meeting to do that.
Yes, it is that time of every other year again.
Yeah.
The delegation is required to meet to set elected official salaries prior to the filing period, which opens in June. So know that 2 years ago, the executive committee had a separate special meeting to discuss elected official salaries. And I think, I don't clearly remember, I came up, I think with a recommendation for the full delegation when they met. We typically in the past have had the delegation meeting on your May meeting day, which is set for the third Monday of May, which is May 18th at this point in time. So up to you if you would like the process to look like. There is information circulating around from the New Hampshire Association of Counties in regards to the elected officials' wages for all 10 counties. We certainly can get that and give that, all that information to you and any other information that is worthwhile for you to have to help in that decision making process.
Anybody?
Just the number, how many we're talking about, who they are, and the history would be helpful.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that
You
question.
want me to answer it?
Sure.
There are 7 elected officials,
Now,
3 commissioners, treasurer. All of those are, 4 essentially part-time positions. And we have the register of deeds, the sheriff, and the county attorney, who are all full-time positions.
part of the purpose is to set the salaries before the filing period so that people can know what, if they choose to run, this is what, if they win, what their remuneration would be. So that's why we try to do it within this kind of a time frame. We could avoid a separate additional expense for the executive committee if we put it on the same day, which is what we've done in the past. Representative Sellers.
So, on, like Representative Spar has mentioned, can we have, maybe get a history or a forecast of what the other 9 counties are doing as well, so we know where these fall in the range? And
We
should go around?
absolutely will provide that, it can provide that information to
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Just the salary, I think there are only 2 counties at this point that have set wages going forward for the next 2 years. But I do have the,
Previous,
current wages for all of the 10 counties.
thank you, that's great.
And the other thing that I would point out is, in the past, we've always made sure to leave time to caucus about these questions before we bring forward any motions to the entire delegation. So in your thinking, talk to your caucus about that, we need to be, maybe the meeting is posted for such and such a time, but be prepared to come a little early if you want to caucus.
Okay.
Okay, so do we usually do it tell me some times, actually, Julie, in the past, I'm trying to think, didn't we do it in the afternoon? Or is it late in the
No,
morning?
well, see lots of times moved the main meeting to the afternoon because of the public hearing on the budget, which is sometimes always is normally in that same time frame as well.
Yeah,
That's hard. I mean, we aren't anywhere near close to knowing when the commissioner's budget's gonna be done and ready to go out, to know when the public hearing's gonna be, so.
so there is a possibility that we would have slightly different time frame. But the day will be consistent, correct?
Yes.
Any further discussion at this point?
But you don't want any meeting ahead of time with the executive committee to come up with recommendations, just do everything on that day.
I'm asking if people feel like they want to meet ahead of time, we certainly can, just Representative Stringer.
My suggestion that we meet on May 18th, after this meeting, to go through the salary issues as a group. And,
So the executive committee meet first, and then the delegation following that.
it wouldn't you think it's the same day? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, it's typically what we've done in the past is we have the,
Same
you're already all coming here,
Right.
so we already have 9 of you here, so we just have to get a few more to get a quorum. So that's why we've historically done it the same day, because you guys are already all coming here that day anyways.
And then
Well, I
there'd be-
think in the past, we've done the delegation meeting for the set time at 9 and then just had a regular executive committee following it, but if you wanted the executive committee to meet ahead of time, we could do that and set the delegation meeting for different time.
So we'll have our meeting in the morning, and then right after that, we'll talk about salaries. Discuss that, right? And then after that, we'll come into a full delegation meeting. Is that what we're talking about?
It sounds like what you're talking about to me.
It works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's typically how we do it.
No, that's fine with me. Good.
Okay,
Um,
there'll be a ample opportunity to have, good discussions.
I'll get all the information, the salary information, and by that point in time, other counties will have also already set their salaries, I'm sure, so as that information comes in, I'll make sure that's compiled and it gets out to you as well.
All right. Anything else on this topic? Yes.
I still might be able to be there on the 18th, but I can probably zoom in or something like that.
What's that?
I might be able to zoom in because I'm gonna be absent from the 18th.
Okay, as long as we have a
Yeah.
quorum, that's, and you will not count for the quorum, remember that, right?
Right.
You can
Need a
vote,
quorum first.
but for quorum purposes, we'll need to have 5.
Yeah.
Does anybody have a problem with the 18th for?
I do,
Okay,
sorry.
now let's take a look at this. And I don't know about representative, is that, oh, okay, yes,
No,
no problem,
I don't know.
don't know.
So that'd be 6.
All right, so what is our deadline for setting that date?
That's a
Does everybody
Thursday,
know
right?
when the filing period starts?
Huh?
I don't know when. the
No,
filing
no, no,
period
no, no, I mean, we have to publicly notice that we're gonna meet on the 18th or some other day and time. What is the deadline
And
with that?
it has to be advertised 10 full days prior to it.
Okay,
We don't have.
So we have to have time to get the ad to the paper and.
yeah, no, that's why I'm trying to get this clear, because I've been reluctant to change these meetings because it's difficult to. It's almost impossible to find a time that works for everybody, you know? But if you learn in the next few weeks that you can't come on the 18th and we're not going to have a quorum, then I will have to try and figure out a date. And so now you know my deadline, right? Which is at least 10 days before the 18th. Okay, so I know
Rep Bolden and I are out, right? Right, and I'm available the previous Tuesday or the one ahead of 18th, so the 26th.
what does that do?
Different Mondays?
26 is Memorial Day, so.
Oh, 25.
Tuesdays are commissioner meeting days, so the room. we're not-
Yeah, so, but is there other Mondays that,
What about the 11th?
May 11th?
May 11th?
Yeah, well, yes.
If you meet May 11th, you will not have financial reports. I'm just, we don't
Yeah, that's-
post month before that.
I understand that, but the primary purpose of that particular meeting will be to get ready to be setting. So if we had 2 missing, then we can only afford to lose 1 more person for some unforeseen reason, and then we wouldn't have a quorum, and I'm a little anxious about that.
Yeah, that's.
I hate starting out of the gate with 2 missing already.
So you want to move to the 11th? Is that what you're saying?
I'm
Well-
trying to get us there, yeah.
Julie said they can't do the reports, but
I understood.
Oh.
We'll have other things that we can talk about, but the primary purpose for that meeting seriously would be to
Right.
get the full delegation there and to vote on the salaries.
And so are we saying the 11th then?
Does that work for everybody? Let me just,
Is that
everybody
is that
says
Monday
that,
or
let me-
Tuesday?
That's a Monday.
let me look at my calendar.
We don't know about Opal.
Hmm,
We don't know about Opal.
no, we don't, but I don't, it's typically I work in the afternoon, so it shouldn't be an issue for me.
That'd be a quick day.
Well, we'll see.
So now we're talking about an all-day event on the 18th to just a morning on both days.
No,
No.
let's
Oh,
do-
nothing on the 18th.
Yeah, we just do the 11th
11th.
instead. We have that option. We can still, same plan, but just change it by 1
I
week.
live for that.
Representative Spar, that work for you? 11, okay, going once, going twice. 11th it is. Thank you. Wasn't that fun?
So, you need to send out a notice to full delegation, just asking them to pencil that date into their calendar.
Absolutely.
And what are you thinking on a time? If you meet at 9, how long do you need for your all meeting? schedule with the full delegation.
Are we gonna
I
caucus?
think
before?
11,
Well, we'll caucus. Yeah,
10:30.
11. I know, it'll be the late lunch. It's only one item of business.
Oh, I'm just trying to find the time because once we notice that we can't start at a different,
Yeah.
we can't start before that, so.
I would think that we could even start, we should be able to be done as the executive committee and even have time to caucus by 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
Because the only thing we're gonna be talking about is the salaries. It shouldn't take long. So 11 o'clock.
Okay.
That's for the full delegation.
Correct.
The rest of us will,
Meet at 9.
yeah, we may start a little late while we caucus ahead of time, but we won't have to caucus until 9 o'clock.
So we're caucusing at 9?
Yeah. Well, we'll publicly notice the meeting, our meeting for 9 o'clock, but we can always start late.
Right.
What you can't do is start early. Okay. Thank you, everybody.
So,
Proposed,
1 second.
yeah,
So on the new business, I just want to make sure, this is more a point of order. We said we didn't need a roll call vote because everybody was here,
mhm.
but Representative Opal is not here.
No, everybody, no, there's no one
There's
online.
no one online.
Okay, so even though someone's absent, we don't need a roll call.
That's correct.
Thank you. All right.
Yeah, the only time you need a roll call is when there's somebody you've got to make
Yep.
sure that they have their opportunity to speak up and vote.
Thank you.
Okay. Meeting dates. This is our typical Monday, Friday kind of thing, Julie.
Yes.
Anybody have, just try and pencil in the times.
Since the legislature's ending on the 4th, I think we could shape this year.
Yeah,
Usually it's a lot more overlap. I think so, yeah.
yeah. And then the 22nd, which gives everybody time.
Okay.
Okay,
Fine.
they look good.
Second year, right, but that follows.
All right.
When I send the email out, I'll include the June 22nd delegation meeting date to
Yeah, might as well.
9 AM for that.
Yep. Yep. Okay, let's move on. I don't think we have any committee reports, comments, any comments from the delegates this morning? Representative Stringer.
Just, for the benefit of the full delegation, I think, they should either be encouraged or notified that they can attend a budget hearing if they'd like. Maybe pick one so they can see what's going on. But other than that, I don't have anything else to add. So I would encourage that.
Point. Representative Selves.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. When we're going through the budget this year on those 4 dates, would it be more useful on line by line, maybe point out the exceptions or things that might be changing or drastically changing only? That sometimes these meetings seem to, I don't want to say drag on, but they go on.
Well, I would point out to you that every time I start the speech with the department heads, I say, all you need to do is to just tell me about your really important changes or something that you want to bring to our attention, and they don't do it anyways, and it's really hard. I hate to shut people off,
Okay,
but
thank you.
yeah, I agree with you, and I say it every time, but we don't always get there. Anyone else? Okay. So next meeting date then will be the 11th, not the 18th, correct, everybody? I'm gonna just give me a moment to put that in my calendar now, so I don't mess this up. Because if it's not in the calendar, it's not gonna happen. Okay. All right. You guys set? You guys set? All right. Comments from the public?
If I do. Yes. Having served this county now for 16 years, I've taken my responsibility very seriously from day one, joining the Joint Loss Committee, which analyzed liability all the way around and our risks. And I've spent many years on that until I was asked to be removed because I found too many risks to do with the maintenance department. And I'd already have a proven pattern of abuses to deal with my spaces from the maintenance department. So it led to animosity. Today, I specifically requested in January to go into non-public under I, which is I'll read it to you.
We are quite aware of what it is.
Okay.
And remember, you
I
have 3
wanted
minutes.
to talk to you about, just have a conversation, which was directed by the president of Association of Counties a few weeks ago at a registered deeds meeting, to reach out to your delegation members. You could have picked up the phone and said, what is your concern? But that doesn't happen in Grafton County. Instead, we base all of our decisions on whatever's printed in it, whatever projected as truth. And let me tell you, I have a proven pattern of misinformation being spread on a great many issues here. And I've resisted going to the Attorney General on this. I wanted to have a conversation to benefit the taxpayer. I even had to request to bring in Homeland Security rather than go through a year worth of motions to bring in a private security force paid for with taxpayer dollars. Then Homeland Security's recommendation is not taken, that we needed a security person. It's not funded. And since then, this committee has sat on their hands to do its security. And my concerns are countywide. They've never been specific for my department. And that's, I guess, all I have to say today to you all. Thank you.
So maybe I answer. I want to get a full discussion. But I just want to be sure she's clear, and I want it on the record as well.
With some trepidation, John, I would suggest you do what you need to do, but
So I just want to, I just want to let you know, when we went into non-public session today, we were learning on what we can and can't do overall. And one of the things we learned is when it comes to policies and workings of the county and stuff like that, that would go through the commissioners. We only deal with money. So the commissioners would have to come with money, or you would have to have a concern absolutely directed money to actually come to us. That's all I wanted to say, and without getting any more.
thank you, John. All right. Any further business?
Yeah, online.
Okay, whom?
And
All right, go ahead. Ms. Smith, go ahead. You need to unmute yourself. Any luck?
If you go to Mr. DeMayo and then try to go.
Okay, sure. Mr. DeMayo.
Yes, good morning, commissioners and executive committee.
But now we gotta.
I'm sorry. I finally got unmuted, but I'll wait for Nick.
Okay, fair enough. Go ahead, Mr. DeMayo.
All right, thank you, Mr. Sellers. Mr. Sykes. Two things. I don't know if it's the acoustics of that room or what it is, but you need microphones to hear everybody clearly. I've said this before, and maybe you guys can hear each other clearly in that room, but the public cannot hear you clearly or distinctly. There's some gobbling when people speak. I would humbly suggest that people take public speaking classes or enunciate their words where we can hear them clearly for transparency for the public. So microphones are needed, maybe one that can be passed around or two that can stay at one end of the table and the other one at the other end of the table. But for a professional organization as a county commission, you should have microphones. I've attended a number of meetings of other organizations, and they have microphones. I don't know why this organization, which represents the county taxpayers, doesn't have microphones. The other thing that I want to bring to your attention very quickly is that the gigantic map, the topographical map that you have in the administration building should either be taken down or you should fix it so that Sugar Hill is represented. Because right now, Sugar Hill is a big empty rectangle. It looks like somebody cut it out of the map. I'm a taxpayer and I think I should be visibly represented. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DeMayo. Ms. Smith, you can go now.
Hi, thank you for letting us speak. The question was asked, I believe, by Representative Sellers, if the salaries and benefits that were presented included Medicare Advantage and retirement benefits were equal to what Grafton County citizens had. And the answer by the three commissioners was yes, that it did represent what the regular citizens had. That's inaccurate. Sorry, I have tickle. The majority of Grafton County citizens do not have salaries and benefits anywhere near half of what's given to the county employees. That was emphatically expressed to the commissioners at the Littleton building hearing, that the courthouse hearing. So I hope that they were listening. I also do not understand why there is not a excuse me, a capital reserve fund for building repair costs. The schools have one. My little town has one, so that if there is any catastrophic things or just for regular maintenance, we can go to that capital reserve fund and fund building repair costs. So why doesn't the county have one? I also keep hearing what a wonderful job that the repair people do at Grafton County. And if the buildings are in such horrible state right now, the people that are managing the building repair have been there for 20 years. So if the buildings are in such horrible disrepair, those people are responsible for that. So I think that statement is incorrect.
Okay, thank you. That's for your comments. Anything else to come before the body? And if not, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. Representative Stringham,
Motion to adjourn?
is there a second?
Second.
Representative Sellers seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.